December. This meeting of the Albany County Planning Board to order. Okay, Tayshawn, Amy, and myself are here, so we meet the quorum requirements, but we have a new member.
So, hi, Michael Lane
From Albany.
from Albany.
Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
All right. Does anybody have a reason to recuse themselves from any issues? Okay. Meeting minutes, the draft meeting minutes for the October 25th meeting, or October 25 and the November 25 is available for review and is posted on our webpage in draft form. We have a quorum to vote on both sets of minutes. Can I get a motion? A motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Now, can we get a motion to move all the referrals with staff opinion of defer to local consideration to the front of the agenda and to vote it then as a group? A motion. All in favor? Aye. Okay. We get started. Case. Case. Project name, ordinance 24.101.25. Applicant's name, Albany Common Council. Project location, City of Albany. Referring agency, City of Albany Legislative Board. Considerations. Amendment of ordinance 24.101.25 that updates the affordable housing requirements applicable to new residential and mixed-use development, restoring the income calculus to 100% of the area median income, AMI, and providing for exceptions to requirement. Staff opinion, of course, is to defer to local consideration. Now I'm going to read project number 2, and because they deal with the same issue, we'll deal with them. Okay. Project name ordinance 63.121.25. Applicant, Albany Common Council. Project location, City of Albany. Referring agency, City of Albany Legislative Board. Considerations. Amendment of ordinance 63.121.25 to adjust affordable housing requirements and to add new exceptions within the Unified Sustainable Development ordinances, in parenthesis USDO, affordable housing incentive. Again, we have a staff opinion of deferred local consideration. Now, do we have anyone here from the City of Albany online?
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Wenner. I am the research counsel for the City of Albany Common Council.
Okay, question being, why do we have two different versions of this order?
I think that's a great question. There's not yet a consensus on which version of the ordinance the council is looking to move forward with. So this was debated most recently on the 10th at a planning committee meeting of the Common Council that included a few extra additional members there. And at that time, there was a lot of talk of a compromise, something between these two ordinances. I know the number 80% AMI was thrown out a lot, and then moving around some of the fees associated with buying out of the inclusionary zoning requirements that we have here, moving those numbers around as well, maybe a sunset provision. We haven't received any draft of that compromise legislation yet. So what we still have on our active calendar are the two different versions put forward by two different members, neither of which have been advanced out of committee yet.
I speak in favor of
Is I I find it somewhat frustrating, right? We are certainly not going to get in and consider or get in a situation where we have competing interests every month coming here to be considered. This is an unusual practice at best.
Absolutely, and I apologize for the state in which these two ordinances reached you and the contradictory nature of them, the uncertainty around them in general. I think that the main cause of that is the timeline we're working on here. There was a push from some members of the Common Council, as well as some other individuals in the mayor's office, to try to get this done by the end of the year, because we have administrations changing, we have members leaving, new members joining. And we will have a sort of legislative reset on January 1st. So at this point, we are past our last regular meeting of the year. And we have no more committee meetings scheduled. So it is likely that anything that happens here ends up getting shelved, and we have to reintroduce it after the 1st of January. The exception to that is there's a possibility a special meeting is called. That can be done by the president of the Common Council or a majority of its membership. We have not yet heard from any members or from the president that anyone intends to do that, but we have heard talk from other people around City Hall, especially associated with the mayor's office, that there's an interest in making that happen. So that might happen by the end of the year.
So Brian, can you just tell me what your concern is, just,
Well, they haven't come to their consensus of what they want to do. It seems
it's like option A or
option B. It seems to me, we've got a whole new stack of people coming in the first part of the year to do government. Why doesn't that new government to get together and decide what they want to do?
So by us moving this along, what, will that cause confusion, or like, what's the?
My impression is that if one of these versions in front of you passes through council approval in the next 13 days before the end of the year, it would probably, they cannot enact this all the way until it goes through planning board review. So you'd have to push it to your January meeting, which would basically push back the enactment of any legislative changes in the council side. So you'd basically be delaying the city of Albany's adjustment to their inclusionary zoning ordinance, whatever version they go with.
But what I'm hearing is that it's probably going to be neither A nor B. But,
Well,
A plus or minus, or B plus or minus, so I'm not sure what we're even considering.
Yeah, can I just add that, the first ordinance was, I was at the meet, I'm from Housing for All,
Okay.
and we support the second ordinance. There is an existing inclusionary housing policy on the books, and some folks pushed through ordinance 1, the Clark ordinance. And that totally eliminated the existing inclusionary policy, really. It didn't have any affordable set aside.
Right, I see that.
And as you see, the Hyde ordinance raises the area median income from up to 100%, which actually is 89,300. So somebody making, close to 90,000 doesn't need an affordable unit. The second ordinance caps it at 70%, which is 56,900. That we think is affordable. So there's this been going on. There's been push from some factors to raise it to 100% and no affordable set aside, which is the Clark one. There's housing advocates like me who say, wait a minute, that's not fair. It should be a lower affordable set aside, like at 70%. It does, both of them go significantly lower than what's on the books right now. But the Ballerin ordinance does say that these developers who put up, $3,000 a month apartments have to set aside 5% as affordable, because they're getting a lot of money in pilots to do that. So that's the thing.
So here's my issue. Sounds like that would require then us to get involved in a city back and forth and to make a decision, right? Because if, and I hear what you're saying and I understand it, I live in the city, so I get it. But now I have two in front of me and either I send both of them and it's like A or B, or we say as the planning board, oh, well, I'll pick A. And then that means that the planning board, we're gonna be in this messy argument, right? Feeling like,
Yeah,
right,
This isn't our decision.
right. And the other part
This is not our decision.
the other part that's concerning to me is just that this is being sent at, it's almost like applying pressure because it's the end of the administration for one, and so it's pressure on us to make a decision on something
And
that,
that is my point, Tasha. You can't get put in this position again and again and again. We allow it to happen.
well, it goes back to what I said a couple of months ago, like what, and I keep saying that, like what precedence does the planning board set in these type of situations? Because there's, people who are last minute or choosing to make.
Of course, we can decide to disapprove of both. And they can deal with it.
You could also defer to next month and
Yeah,
say,
but I'd
anything
like-
has changed.
Yeah, I think,
I think we would just push it until they've made a decision. That's fine. And then act on it.
yeah. But I don't want to like kill it. I don't think that makes any sense, but I don't want to consider it either until the city decides. I think they should just send us what their final
Yeah,
decision is and not send us two and then say, well, pass them both.
I mean, there's been a lot of press coverage on this.
Yes.
I've heard a bunch of it, and there's certainly a lot that's still going on. So why do we want to get in the middle of it?
Right. Three.
Fine, I agree.
So you mean you would push both of them both of them to go back to the city?
So no, we would just defer the consideration until next month. And then let,
And let the city, flesh out what they need to do.
Okay.
So we're basically, kind of.
Get your ducks in a row.
yeah, just, I mean, I just think it puts the planning board in our planning board in a messy position.
Yeah,
To have to make a decision on something that you guys are still arguing about.
right.
Like, I just.
Yeah, I mean, we may have our individual preferences, but that's not the point.
Right,
Yeah.
like I
You
could,
can live in the city on me, so,
right, and then like fairness, like I could say, oh, well, and I know about this too, like I live in the city, and I could easily say, oh, yeah, I like A or B. But from the planning board's perspective, typically with every case that we see, is one thing in front of us that we are considering.
Right.
And then we make a decision based on that one thing. You're asking us to make an amendment and then they're written differently.
And then amend it again.
And then amend it again, and then it's gonna potentially come back to us again if you don't have a decision, if nobody likes this one either, that's not,
Right.
it's not good.
So, Mr. Wenner, is it?
Yes,
Wenner?
that's right.
So, tell me if I'm wrong, but the inclusionary zoning policies have existed for a few years, right?
Yes, for a couple of years.
So, I mean, would really waiting a month affect the city's operations that much? I mean, you've had this policy for years. I mean, I'm just trying to understand why the rush, I guess.
Like I mentioned before, I think that the sense of urgency around this has to do with changing administrations, with new mayor in office, new common council president come January, and then 6 new council members on the board. I think the goal was to get this pushed through by the end of the year if possible, so that the sponsors of the different ordinances here, everyone involved wants something done, so that some solution to problems that people have seen could be enacted by the end of the year. With that said, if this was held until January, I think these conversations would continue. I think that the new council will start meeting in January, and If this was held until then, they would work then with the mayor's office on probably continuing a compromise between the two ordinances, if I had to guess, and if not that, then advancing one of these two ordinances or not advancing either.
Well, I mean, looking at our calendar, the submittal deadline for our day. Meeting is January. Second, how you guys any?
January 15th.
No,
I think
the
that's done.
The deadline.
Submission.
Oh, the deadline, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah, you're right, you're right.
trying to be a good soldier here.
You're right. It isn't gonna help us.
Because they'll just be enough, she'll just be. moved.
Yeah, they want it.
So I think we're really looking at the February meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be a realist.
That makes
No,
sense.
I mean, it makes sense, and I think, and again, it makes me even more nervous because it just sounds like and this is not, and when I say this is not throwing shade at the current administration, but it does sound like, hey, we're closing our accounts and we're trying to tie up all the loose ends of whatever we're trying to tie up, but you know, what I mean, I like your question because I think the question is, does it make,
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah,
does it
It has
hurt
been.
it, or is it gonna make, you know?
So, I mean, you may not want to answer this, that's okay, but is there concern that with the new members, you won't be able to pass these ordinances?
or some version of it.
Or some version of it?
It's not that I don't want to answer that. I think it's more that I'm not in the best position to answer it. As a
That makes
staff
sense.
member here, we're pretty specifically apolitical roles. I came here to answer questions about the process. I'm not able to advocate or to opine on the politics around what I think would and wouldn't pass, unfortunately.
Okay.
I can tell you that at the very least, the president pro tempore is going to be becoming the president, so a pretty core element of the leadership is going to remain the same, and I think that would entail a certain continuity as far as looking for solutions here and trying to get some kind of compromise that can pass through the council passed to fix some of the problems that people have seen with inclusionary zoning. I think there is still going to be an interest in getting something done in the new year, if nothing is done before then.
Thank you. So because they can't vote on this, we decide, right? They essentially have to agree without voting and send it to us.
Can vote on it, they just can't actually enact it, from what I understand. So even if they had a special meeting next week and you had to wait till January, they just couldn't turn it into effect until it goes through. So
So they could,
they can still vote on
they
whatever they
could
want.
pass the
Yes.
ordinance, but have the effective date after.
It wouldn't be effective till.
So they could have their special meeting, let's say they did, just for purposes argument, they had a special meeting after Christmas.
Right.
And they had something to us by the 5th, which was their
Right.
decision
So we
after
could
that
do
meeting,
That way. too.
then we could
They
do
could
it.
pick one, they could pull the other off, they could put a new version in front of you.
Yeah, and I think, again, it's not saying one way or the other. I think it's just keeping our hands out of the dirty pot, so to speak, without, you know, I mean,
You always get right to it.
it's like, no, sorry, I'm just keeping it real, like,
Yeah.
my hesitation is just like, hey, we have two, and then you're like almost putting it on the planning board to make a decision.
Yeah, right.
Because there's this, like, whatever it is, right, and I'm not gonna speculate on that, but.
Yeah.
I just don't think we should, and you guys know me by now at this point, like, I don't think we should get into that.
no,
Like, if they need more time, then we can give them more time. Like I said, I'm not advocating for it to be dumped at all. I'm advocating for it to be deferred to the later time when we can consider it and they can send us one.
Yeah.
That makes the most sense to me.
They are,
better motion.
Yeah.
they are very different. One of them, we allows buyout completely,
Yeah.
which could be a bad thing, I don't know, but they're different.
Yeah.
Very,
If
very-
it was like, you sent me this and it was like one word difference, then I'd
Yeah.
be like, all right, everybody, look at me like I'm crazy because it's like a one word difference.
Yeah.
But they're like
Yeah.
totally different. So I will make a motion, but making that motion, I think we should push it to the February date. Just to give them enough time.
I'm fine. I'll say.
Unless they do
Is everybody in favor of that motion?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sold.
You say if that's both ordinances that you're pushing to the.
Yeah, yeah, we're basically
Yep.
saying we want one. whatever. we're doing.
And then those would be our first two cases that were deferrers are now tabled for the future.
Mhm.
Okay, next project. Remetra subdivision, applicant's name, Asha Remetra. Project location, 1 Column Court. Referring agency, Town of Colony Zoning Board of Appeals. Considerations, proposed subdivision of a 4.7 acre lot into 2 lots with a 50-foot front line and a 50-foot width at the front building setback line for proposed lot number 3. Okay. We get to staff opinion, which is defer to local consideration, but we also have an additional 3 advisory notes. Review by the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation and Historic Preservation for the potential impacts on archaeological and historic resources should be required. Number 2, highway work permit for the Albany County Department of Public Works for driveway construction, drainage and public utility connections within the county right of way is required. Number 3, notice of intent filed with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation affirming that a stormwater pollution prevention plan has been prepared and being implemented, or the submission of a stormwater pollution prevention plan, SWIP, that is consistent with the requirements included in the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Speedy's general permit for stormwater discharges, GP-0-25-001. For the construction activities that disturb more than 1 acre of land should be required prior to final approval.
Is it site plan for this?
Yeah,
Yes, and what I'm to look at. Yeah.
It's the metro.
yeah.
Okay.
Like you do zoning?
Parcel 1,
Okay.
parcel 2. Parcel 3. And it looks like we've got a private asphalt driveway there. The problem I had is I couldn't figure out how they were accessing all 3 parcels.
Yeah.
The one parcel has frontage on Old Niskuna Road. That's the one that requires a driveway permit, because you can, I think lot 1, you can exit. But it looks like we've got this something going in there.
Yeah.
Now, if whatever happens, for some reason, I'm thinking we should have a shared service agreement here. For if
Yeah.
they have got a common driveway.
Looks like a common driveway.
Right, for common access. This is, we're cramming a lot in a little area.
Can you do me a favor, and just zoom in just a little bit on the new lots? Particularly that corner of, between like 2 and 3.
Okay.
This is for an area variance, so we get to see it again sooner or later.
When they do the actual,
Right, because it just says they're here for the area variance, they're not here for the
so it's
subdivision.
basically just conceptual.
Conceptual at this point,
So it could change before.
But there is gonna have to be a shared driveway.
well, I think maybe we have to add another advisory note that the town of Colony should consider making the applicant flesh out its intended use or access to
Yeah.
the systems, either with shared access or individual access.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure I can understand
I
what they're
can't
doing.
figure out how you get into 2 and 3.
No.
Would that, let me ask you a question though. Would that be something that would be considered when it comes back for site plan review?
Yes, it would, but it should be considered here. If they're gonna say this is like a concept thing, and if the town doesn't want it for various reasons, they have very limited frontage on.
I mean, if it's landlocked.
You know, they have very, they're,
Moving forward. I mean, with something like this, it's so fundamental.
So where is the access point right now?
It's,
That you want to know.
honestly,
Is it right
And not
there?
have somebody spend
But the
invest
one
time
that
and energy.
connects to the
trying
highway
to
is
develop a plan,
was this one.
you know,
Right.
yeah, when it wouldn't even work. So,
So that you would call it Advise right up? asking the town of Colony to consider making. the
And
applicant
then
detail out the
the
access
existing
points
house
in the second.
update.
Okay,
yes,
okay. We can have that.
I think we had.
yeah, I mean, and it's just, it's an advisory now, and it's really just,
Ask
I mean, I
them to
think, like-
clear it up.
one of our roles is where something's not at all clear at this stage, to at least ask the question.
Yep.
They can choose to answer it however they want, but at least we've asked the question.
And I think they will too.
Yeah,
Who's the owner of this, an individual or?
Yes,
Mhm.
look at the applicant's name there.
So.
Yeah. No, it's not a developer. It's just somebody trying to carve up the back part of the property.
Yeah.
You know, and it might even be family members. I mean, we don't know.
Okay, so
I'm making a motion.
okay, we're good to add advisory note for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, then we'll jump to, you want to work on this?
Oh,
Okay.
you're sorry, you're doing a different.
We're doing all the defers, but that was our first defer, so we just added,
I'm sorry, yeah, I thought you were going to.
well, we had the first two that's got us off our game.
Dude, we kind of got lost.
So you don't.
Okay, next project.
Catch up in my brain.
Project name is Pedals and Pallet. Applicant's name is Zannalee Allen. Project location. Hey, Jump one?
Yeah, there's one accessory apartment in town.
Oh, accessory apartment.
There we go.
Project name, accessory apartment. Applicant's name, Chad Whitman. Project location, 1332 River Road, Town of Bethlehem. Referring agencies, Town of Bethlehem Planning Board. Considerations, proposal for the construction of an attached two-story garage with a one-bedroom apartment on the second floor. Staff opinion is defer to local consideration.
Is this like down in the ditch, as they call it?
No.
No, it's not. Okay.
It's on 144.
Oh, okay.
You're on River Road, but you're close to the Hudson River, but right on 144 is not.
Okay.
Next project. Pedals and Pallet. Applicant, Zannalee Allen. Project location, 2 Long Road. Referring agency, Town of Gilman Zoning Board of Appeals. Consideration, special use permit for a flower and chocolate store. Staff opinion is defer to local considerations. Advisory note. The Albany County Planning Board advises the town to require official drawing or rendering from the applicant prepared by a licensed professional that are legible and allowed for easier review. What?
Smiling.
Do we get free chocolate?
Next project. Don conversion at 43 Columbia Street. Applicant's name.
Okay, that's the end of,
Yeah, that's a modifier, right?
That's a modifier.
yeah.
Okay. Can we get a motion to vote on those deferred cases?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
I,
Okay, we're on to the modifiers. Conversion at 43 Columbia Street. Applicant's name is Joseph Sierra at project location at 43 Columbia Street. Referring agency, City of Albany Planning Board. Considerations, conversion of an existing underutilized parking structure within a mixed-use building to add 37 residential units, bringing the total unit count from 22 to 59. Staff opinion, modify to local approval to include review by the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation and Historic Preservation for potential impacts on archaeological and historic resources should be required. Staff has also added 3 advisory notes. Number 1, as per the short environmental assessment form, the property is located within the 100-year floodplain. The city should ensure that the floodplain management zone requirements are met for new construction. Note number 2, as per the short environmental assessment form, the project site contains federally enlisted endangered species such as the short-nosed sturgeon. Review by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation of environmental permits should be required to determine if permits or additional reviews are required due to wildlife species identified to be present in the project site. Note number 3, the city should ensure that there are enough parking spaces for the proposed use. Thank you. Any questions? Would anybody like to see anything about this project to bring up?
Well, the project site contains short-nosed sturgeon. That kind of caught my attention.
Oh, that's the river,
I know, but.
which are in the floodplain.
Okay.
Nobody's talking about the
Yeah.
river. This
No,
doesn't have-
I know, it
this
was
has
like
nothing.
downtown, down the block.
I know, I'm like, okay.
I
the
double
fish
checked
are
that one.
swimming.
We have an existing building there. The
Right,
sturgeon is
exactly.
swimming around it now. We can't fix that.
I understand. I just, some things strike me as funny, I'm sorry. Now, are these apartments gonna be on the ground floor or?
You know, they have to specify about that. But I can.
Big building,
There's a-
yeah.
I mean, I think it's great that putting in parking system is not going to waste.
There's no one here for that, right?
No.
Just curious about something. I must think it's.
They're just converting part of the building they're not using to more units.
Space is control.
What's the cross streets on this?
So Columbia and Broadway.
Broadway.
Yep.
North Borough.
Mm-hmm.
And Berwick.
Go to the picture of the building.
Yeah.
They'll all recognize the building.
Yeah, I can't
Oh,
picture
yeah.
the building.
Yeah. It's got like,
Yeah,
not graffiti, nice graffiti. So,
Oh, yeah, yeah, I know where.
Yeah. I think that's.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
You know.
So is there, is there parking?
yes.
Yeah, this is a fucking.
I put
It's
that-
above the, it's
The applicant says here in staff notes, application submitted for the conversion of the underutilized parking areas with an existing mixed-use building to accommodate the addition of new residential units.
So go back to the photo.
Yep.
Left maybe? Exit only?
Yeah.
So is it,
Are they talking about over on the right or are they talking about? on the
This.
left?
Oh,
They're talking about under there and there?
Yeah,
parking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, so they'd be turning those into apartments, keeping the garage over on the side.
Yeah.
Is that the idea?
Yes.
If you fit 37 units in that?
Like, let's back.
You can check the floor plan if you.
They're gonna make them small.
Is it like one studio apartments?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
That's what they're doing.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
It's very small.
So with that, that's what I was asking. So like, we're getting rid of the parking underneath to add the apartments. And so
Yeah, I think they're doing that with the first floor.
where is the parking going on the other side? Can I see the picture again? I'm sorry.
That's not bad.
It was attached
Is that their parking?
over here.
This
Do they
is,
own that? And are they utilizing it for the other?
I think this is the structure that they have. And I can show the site plan as well. So it looks like it was the building. This is that exit that they were talking about, but this is the structure.
So
So 59 total units to remain. So are they going to have cars inside where the apartments are, like?
They're
an
gonna have,
attached
they're
garage?
still gonna have the basement garage.
Yeah,
they're just taking the first floor.
They're taking like half of
Half.
one floor and another
Right.
floor.
Right,
And then they're keeping the rest parking.
right.
This is. It's just what all he does. Really.
Hey, not too much on all.
That's what they do. And if they're not using the parking now, this is a way for them to
Yeah.
get a return on their investment.
I will say that, I don't know if anyone on the planning board has been following the state's $200 million kind of championing Albany's potential.
Yeah, right.
A big piece of that analysis has been around continuing to push for downtown housing.
Yes.
So just flagging, I don't know, if that's part of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
My only concern would be, I mean, I feel like I say this every time we have all the recycling week. My only concern would be the parking.
Yeah.
You're adding 59 apartments, 41, whatever it is will be left. So you're assuming that 10 people out of whatever the number is won't have a vehicle. But in this case, you're probably looking to hire, I mean, get folks who are professionals in those apartments.
And they're probably gonna have to go,
Right.
you know? I mean, the thing about this is like, even if they're studios, I mean, they've got existing 22 units. So the 22 units right now are being served by the 45 units. That's the way I read it. Now they're gonna go to 59, to the same 40 parking space. You know, I agree with you. I just think that probably makes it.
Street parking.
Yeah,
Is there street parking?
well, that's always problematic.
I mean, it's a city.
Yeah, but it's not like,
Yeah.
I mean, you're not talking about like Dove or something.
You
I mean,
get into the debate of, which has always long been the debate, right? So you have these new apartment buildings who come in, they build whatever, you already have current residents in said neighborhoods.
Yeah, maybe
and
in
then-
townhouses or something.
Right, and they have, so you're now adding and then taking away from parking that, you know what I mean? So,
Saying the city needs to look at the parking, I mean,
Yeah.
make sure it's in line with the city's own zoning for parking.
I think because they have a certain number of parking spaces.
And it's for the city.
Good.
Designate that.
sounds good.
Okay,
Get a motion?
A motion.
Second.
Motion to,
Second to accept staff opinion to modify with the advisory letter.
sure.
All concur?
Aye.
Okay.
Next case. Project name, UV Columbia Greens Project, applicant, Whole Group Realty. Project location, 250 Columbia Street. Referring agency, City of Cohoes, Zoning Board of Appeals. Consideration. Use variance application seeking approval for the construction of 30 multifamily apartments and 2 single-family homes in an R1 zoning district. Staff opinion is modify local approval to include and there are 4 notes. Number 1. City of Cohoes Zoning Board of Appeals should address all the community concerns such as traffic congestion, green space, pedestrian safety, stormwater runoff, and any other concerns raised by the public prior to the final review of the project. 2, the city should consider the precedent setting nature of allowing significant use variance to city code in an R1 residential district. Note number 3, review by the New York State Office of Parks and Recreation and Historic Preservation for the potential impact on archaeological and historic resources should be required. Note number 4, a notice of intent filed with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation affirming that a stormwater pollution prevention plan has been prepared and is being implemented for submission of a stormwater pollution prevention plan, SWIP, that is consistent with the requirements included in the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Speedies General Permit for Stormwater Discharges, GP-0-25-001, for the construction activities that disturb more than 1 acre of land should be required prior to final approval. Anybody like to look at a plan for that?
Hi, can I jump in for a second? I'm sorry to interrupt. My name is Tom Shepherdson. I'm the attorney for the Cole Group. And I would just like to remind the board that about 7 or 8 months ago, the board considered virtually the identical project and deferred to local consideration without any of these modifications that have been put forth today. And what we don't see, and in the interim, the variance application was denied. And we've worked really hard with the neighbors to address all of their concerns, as far as I am aware, every single one of them. And so I don't see a reason why there would not be, or why you shouldn't follow your prior precedent as to simply deferring to local consideration for this matter.
Thank you.
To me, it's before, and so I don't remember, I barely remember what happened months ago.
Yeah. So,
I don't think I was even on board.
Yeah, so, yeah. Yeah.
And you're, I don't know.
that being said, we still have staff opinion here.
I have a few.
Can we see the site plan?
Yep.
There was a note that there was a zoning meeting on the 17th, like yesterday. Did that happen?
No, it did not. It was canceled because the applicant called me last week and said they were making some minor tweaks to their application. So they won't be on until, I'm not sure if it'll be January or February.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. You have another one that shows the rendering.
Yeah, that
So these are 2-story.
Mhm. Oh. Yeah. 2 single families in front, units in the back.
Yes, in the back. And what's over here?
The recent tweaks that Ms. Butler referenced is the building right in the middle of that picture. Yeah, right where right where your cursor is. It's going to be reduced in size and moved away from the single family home at the corner by approximately 20 feet. Yeah, exact right there.
So it's gonna
be-
go, it's gonna go more into that green space.
No,
near
it's
the
gonna be
parking.
moved, no, it's gonna be
Oh,
moved
this one
closer
doesn't.
to the other buildings
That's what I
on the
mean.
site.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the last tweak, and we wanted to get it right before we presented it to the zoning board of appeals, so we wouldn't have to explain, as I'm trying to explain to you right
Right,
now.
waving your hands,
you know,
yeah.
So we'd like to have it, yeah, exactly. So that's what, that was the reason why we asked that we not be put on the agenda last night to bump it to the next meeting or so. So again, and that was in direct response to the owner of the corner lot addressing his and his wife's concern about the proximity of that building to the corner of their lot there. And that green space you're seeing is their lot. That's not our lot. That's on the single family residence hut right there. Yeah.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're moving the building away from that that edge.
Mhm.
Kind of curious, they can ask him. You know his last name?
Just go ahead.
All right. Shepherdson. Mr. Shepherdson, can I ask you a question?
Certainly.
There's, I guess the concern would be, and I'm not saying it's my concern, just, throwing things out there. That because this is a, residential 1
Yeah,
zone. If the city approves this, it will have a hard time saying no to future attempts to do so with other R1 zoned areas. I don't know if you have any thoughts about how, I know there was an initial denial and then you guys made some adjustments, made it look more in more of a suburban type of look, you decreased the units, so you did, address those concerns a little bit at least. Do you have any way that the city be able to approve this, but not be in a situation where future developers could be like, oh, well, you approved the other one, what's the difference between that and this? If that makes sense.
No, I hear your concern and I completely understand it, and every application is different. What we've shown in our application, you have to prove the test for a use variance by complying with the 4-prong test. And so, we believe that we have done that, and any other applicant would also have to prove the 4-part test regardless of and I don't think it's a precedent because again, every application is different. So you need to prove financial hardship, you need to, all those, those fun things. And it's the hardest, most stringent test you need to show in order to get an approval, which is a use variance. And so anyone else that would be applying somewhere in the city of Cohoes would have to show all of those same prongs. They can say, hey, you granted a use variance for 250 Columbia, for 30 apartments, but we've proven the test. In my opinion. And whereas, they may be in a different situation where they can't meet the test. So it's a completely, it's not really a precedent, I don't think, such that it would bind the zoning board of appeals to any future action on its part for a different, separate application having really nothing to do with, our application here.
Agreed. I, I guess I'm not understanding your concern with our staff opinion in these four notes. I don't see how that affects your review here. This certainly Cohoes is going to still take a hard look at this. And these notes, I don't feel are are in any way hurting your proposal.
Well, that one that the gentleman just spoke of about the precedential nature, it would be, really detrimental to my client if all of a sudden they read in the county planning board's decision that, they need to consider this precedential nature, which I don't think belongs in a recommendation from the county planning board, because that it's going to be there regardless, and we would have to then start explaining away, as I just did, a minute ago, why that should not be a concern for the board. So, but coming from a board like the county planning board, directing the city planning board to consider that is, it just elevates it to a point where I don't think, it serves my client any purpose. And I think it is what it is. I mean, the law is the law, and whether or not there's a precedent or not is, it is what it is. And I just don't think it ought to be in there. And I will agree with you, address the concerns. We've been doing that. Review by OPRHP, I'm not sure about that. I don't know why that is a concern. And of course, if, we need to, prepare a SWIP and provide a notice of intent, we would do that. That's the law anyway. So, but the second one really, piqued my interest, and I just, I don't think it belongs in this, this recommendation. And again, particularly because, well, not even because, but again, like 7 or 8 months ago, it was just deferred to local consideration, and we moved on from there, which is, I thought was appropriate then, and I think it's appropriate now.
Did we lose them? I don't see them on here.
I'm with you. Not that you're
Okay,
not
can you
gonna,
hear us? I think we're back, but we're fixing our
Okay.
camera. New laptop.
Toast to the other one.
There you go. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Just give us one moment. All your photos.
Several so.
It did, like 4.
Nothing else. Don't go on my.
What's the purposes? Something between the opinion and
We had notes to go with the modify, but then we had advisory notes don't carry the same weight as the modified,
which would be the same opinion.
which would be the staff. And if those are the points that that the co-host will consider and talk about.
Non-existent.
And they'll use it to come up with their decision.
That's got it. Same opinion is.
Just the beginning. You know. So. Yes.
Can you hear us now?
Can everyone on Teams call hear the room now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. See, Tom, are you reading us?
Yeah, I hear you guys.
Okay.
So Tom, is there something aside from like getting rid of opinion number 2? Is there like a language change that would make it like
No,
you think that would
no.
be more neutral?
No, just 2, if you would please omit 2, we can live with that.
I don't think we're in a position to omit to, because in fact, it is a precedent and it's a fairly large one. There might be some language modification or whatever around it, but, I think that we have to at least note. And this is an advisory note.
Well, it's part of our modified.
Yeah.
It isn't down here.
Oh, that's true. It is staff opinion, yeah.
Or just advised?
Yeah, so I don't know that we could leave it out because it is pretty important.
Do we have a motion to accept staff opinion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it. All concur?
Aye.
I do. Okay. Next case. Project name, Acton, Homeschool Resource Hub. Applicant's name, Joseph Coffey. Project location, 6378 Gun Club Road. Referring agency, Town of Gilliland Zoning Board of Appeals. Consideration. Conversion of the parcel's existing use from a place of worship to a daycare and educational facility. And this is a special use permit. Okay. Staff opinion. Modify to local approval to include the town should ensure that there are enough parking spaces for the proposed use. I think we mean daycare, which generates a lot of trips. 2, review by New York State Office of Parks and Recreation and Historic Preservation for the potential impacts on archaeological and historic resources should be required to find prior to final approval. Note number 3, notification of the application should be sent to the town of Altamont, including all required notices pursuant to GML section 239-N. And we also have an advisory note number 1. As Per the short environmental assessment form, the property consists of federally listed and endangered species such as long-eared bats. A review of New York State DEC permitting by New York State DEC permitting Region 4 Office for potential impacts should be considered. Okay. Again, we're taking an existing building and we're changing its use.
Spaces is a little bit problematic. I'm looking at 20 to 30 students, 2 to 5 employees. So
Right.
let's just say that they have 5 employees. That basically means they have 6 parking spaces left for parent pickup.
Yes.
Is that enough?
Is that enough? That's the thing, yeah, it's, at certain times of the day, daycare, schools, we get a tremendous amount of traffic. In and out.
We have a pipeline over there.
I mean, if they even had they've got a U-shaped driveway, so there's enough room for the cars to line up off the street.
Right, because there's street.
Well, you don't want, I'm sort of thinking about Southgate Elementary, which is, takes over 3 blocks.
Right.
You know, and it's a traffic hazard. It's horrible. So,
We're at the right time.
yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
So I'm assuming, just my experience with childcare, is that they are not expecting to have parents there long, and that they would end up using that. I'm assuming that's a roundabout
Yeah,
It's a U-shaped driveway, yeah.
down at the bottom.
But
So what it sounds like to me is they would use that gravel driveway.
and have people come in that way and then around.
Yeah,
That would be fine.
you know what I mean? Just based on the way they have it set and the
Yeah.
parking and just and it's a daycare, so that's, am I getting that correct? It's a
Yeah.
daycare?
Yeah, daycare and educational facility.
And daycare typically, I think if we're talking more like an after school, like it was like a boys and, yeah,
Drop off between employees. So that's a fairly.
right. And it is daycare. And so with daycare, they don't have like a boys and girls club where you're doing, family events and after school stuff. Yeah. Now, if we were talking about that type of facility, then I'd be like, not enough. That's just my opinion. I thought.
It's not a road, right? It's just a
Um,
gravel space around the building.
yeah,
Right.
drive.
Well, it's a gravel drive.
Driveway.
Yeah, it's a drop-off.
And nine times out of 10, you probably
It would
do that to cut it.
That's gonna get a,
Like pause, yeah.
sorry.
No,
State gravel.
Yeah.
Approximately 2 gravel.
usually
Yeah.
that probably just cut the cost on what it might be to pay that whole,
I'm sure they'll be expanding.
yes,
Yeah.
at some point, yeah.
And I'm sure Gilman is also got review.
The sticklers.
Yeah.
I know also don't have, can you go up a little bit
Yeah.
more? I mean, is that the dotted line, is that their property line?
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is property.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, they don't even have a lot of room.
Unless they take some trees.
Unless-
Well, they'd have to clear the somewhat clear some
Some of that stuff back there.
some of that stuff area.
So. Okay,
I think
Yep.
I make a motion.
Second. Sorry.
All in favor? Aye. Next case. Project name, Admiral's Walk. Applicant, Admiral's Watch LLC. Project location, Lot 11, Lot 12, Admiral's Walk. Referring agency, City of Cohoes Zoning Board of Appeals. Consideration, site plan review seeking reapproval for the parcels to construct 10-unit condo building on each parcel with associate parking, sidewalks, and utilities. Staff opinion, modify to local approval to include review by the New York State Office of Parks and Recreation and Historic Preservation for potential impacts on archaeological and historic resources should be required. Advisory note number 1. As per short environmental assessment form, the property consists of federally listed and endangered species such as long-eared bats, and a review by the New York State DEC permitting Region 4 office for potential impacts should be considered. Do you have any questions?
Can I first ask the date of the short environmental assessment form?
Yeah, it's of the November. I can just show it up.
Okay. Could you please state your name?
Absolutely. Kathy Sheehan, 12208 Admiral's Walk Drive.
Okay.
Oh, okay, so you're a neighbor.
I am a neighbor.
Oh, cool.
It
Cool area, look.
is absolutely stunning. People don't know it's there when they come to either the corner unit, they come up and go,
Yeah.
no matter what the weather is like down in the moon, it's just beautiful.
You guys in Green Island. right?
Yeah.
Or Green Island.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't even mention.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Date, it might be at the.
What is the date of the form?
It might be at the.
Yeah, it's 17 November.
11/17/2025.
And in 2025?
Yes.
Why, can you explain why they can do the short form and not, pursuant to the general municipal law of a complete statement of all, materials and a statement of all laws that they're going to abide by, this is state and local municipalities' own environmental acts.
I think it's because it falls under 1 acre of land. That is why.
I'm sorry, falls under,
Yeah, within 1 acre of
Under
land.
1 acre of land.
Which is why
Construction.
they're going with the short assessment form.
It's just over an acre.
Yeah.
okay.
Which is why.
Right, it says in the site plan review, approximately 0.55 acres are being disturbed. So it's under the 1 acre threshold.
Okay.
Which is why they.
And it's dated, this assessment's 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was like a few weeks,
Exactly a month ago. Yes.
yeah, just a month.
1 month ago.
Thank you.
Do you have concerns or?
Yes, because since the time of they're saying reapplying. The first application, I believe, was back in 2026 for the whole property, which consists of 2006. Since that time, the two buildings in front of these two empty lots contain 20 units, and the rail trail did not exist. It was like 2006 when this whole development plan was created, and it was like 2009 when your county first purchased the section of the rail trail from Helderman to Hudson. They first paving was from 2015, so they really didn't even get down to Cohoes till after that. So my concern was coming from the Cohoes board, my understanding is there wasn't a new environmental assessment. And I want to make sure that there was a recent one considering all the changes. And the bald eagle population has really increased because there has been activity, and the board plan on Green Island, they had to stop construction because of the eagles. And the eagles are always in the trees.
Right.
So there were a number of environmental concerns that I had. I'm glad to see that this was a hot board. We've been familiar with a high bench, but a hot board. I mean, you really picked up on the environmental issues. Okay, we all appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all get in the quarrels here and there because we think it's important and, I think we really take the time out to look at stuff. Sometimes maybe overlook at it, no offense to us, but we'll overlook at something just to make sure.
you ever get involved in not entertaining referrals when the applicant hasn't abided by all state laws?
No.
No.
No,
You're right.
we're at the
That's-
start of the process. You go to the town refers you here. If it's not done well, we see it, we comment on it, and it goes to the town, back to the town.
So this will have to come back to you because of your staff.
No, this won't come back to me. It stays within the town, or the city, or the municipality. They'll take our notes, and then they can do with it. They can modify it further. They don't have to do just what we do. They can do more, far more,
Can they do less?
if they choose to.
They can't. I mean, just because it's in the notes, doesn't mean that the local municipality has to follow the notes. So it is a matter of public record.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I would just encourage that, with this information, you have it to the point of it's public record, and so, if we hope that these notes keep people accountable. But
We do track, and have started a tracker now. We've staffed up a bit more recently. We have one planner, now we have a couple. We are tracking the local actions and the notes to present to our boards.
That's really cool.
That is great. That is great. And I hear what you're saying about it's public information.
It is.
We feel we need to with it.
And just for clarification, at the meeting, they were given a conditional approval by the planning board based on any recommendations or opinions from the Albany County Planning Board, which will be sent to the applicant for them to take care of and submit back to me.
Okay, good.
Yes, I'm like say I live, also there, 10302 Admiral's Walk Drive, Ken Norris. Just a few things. Who writes the staff notes?
Planning staff.
Yeah, they do.
Okay. Just one, two little things along those lines. The lines is surrounding character. They're the only two buildings that are not going to have balconies and or decks. So there is a departure from the rest.
From
of our
the rest
building.
of the building, yeah.
Okay, one of the reasons I believe they're not doing the decks, because their decks would be within basically 10 to 15 feet of the trail.
Right.
And so I think they decided, so it's not truly, it doesn't fully agree with the surrounding character. Talks about substantially, doesn't have a substantial increase. You had 20, where we have 80, that's a 24% increase. So to me, if you see a sale at 25% off, that's substantial.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I disagree with that. The environmental stuff, I guess it is what it is, where they propose putting those two buildings, they're gonna have to put a lot of fill in. I live right across from where they're proposing putting them. And it's basically a big gully there. They're gonna have to put in a lot of fill because we're all built on slabs. There's no crawl spaces, no basement support, and so on. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. You mentioned that less than an acre. I don't know if it matters in the fact that we're a bigger development and we're definitely way more than an acre.
No, but what they're going to disturb, that's what they're going.
Okay, so that was just my,
it's not about the larger plot, it's about the specific
So
district.
you have to remember, this thing was approved for this once, in 2004 and 2005. It was approved for this. So they're coming in, they're following the rules, they're coming in for reapproval because this has been a long time. They're adding their units that they originally got approved for. So this isn't, totally new. It's just that had they built it then, they may have put on your decks and stuff.
Right.
Right.
But they didn't do
and I definitely agree with the Parks and Rec, because as you may be aware, this past weekend, they just had the Knox reenactment just down the street.
it. Yep.
So there's definitely a lot of stuff in that area.
Michael Connors, 4202 animals walk, goes, I live near there. There are a couple of issues that I would say that I'd like to address. One, and the chief one, is that you guys are being used as a stalking horse. There is not a contract for sale on this. This is the owner of the property looking to get the ball rolling so he can sell the property. The result of this, when this project were to be built, there's right now a median or across from between those other buildings and the two buildings proposed. And that median would have to be removed because there's not easy access for fire departments. There are people in 8 and 10 who have had the fire service there several times, and the fire apparatus are parked
Can't get
on
in
the
there.
site, on the other site. Another space issue that comes from that has to do with the loss of parking spaces that comes from moving the postal service out of there. And another space issue has to do with staging for the property. They built the first building, which is the lower number, which would be 7. And then when they build the second building, the proposal, at least we were told this at the original planning board meeting about a month ago, that they would use the adjacent space, which is in a wetlands, for staging. Well, that doesn't make sense either. And then finally, if you look at all of these things that you talk about, there's a huge difference on that property in the last 20 years. There have been, on that sewer line and water line, there have been several new projects constructed. There's a 68-unit project just north of us. Then there's another project further north of that on Delaware Avenue also. There's 2 rather large buildings in number 50 and number 70, or 70 and 90, excuse me. And the problem, when they talked about an expansion of one of these PDDs that was approved back in 2015 forever, they wanted to develop it and put more units in. It was approved. It was approved for 68. They wanted to put 112 additional on. So the upshot of that was when the planning board and others in Cohoes looked at it, because of the problems on the sewer system, they demanded some amelioration of those problems created by those additional units because of the flow and the handling of the sewage. And that was discussed and done with Clough Harbor Associates. So there was a study on that. When we asked about that issue, are you going to be able to handle it in this corridor with all this development since this was originally proposed? And they said they spoke to the Commissioner of Public Works, but there has been no real engineering study done on that to determine that's the case. And for all those reasons, we think that you guys should be used as stalking horse to try and get the property up for sale. Oh, one other thing, in the condominium association, if you add to that association, it's not a zoning issue and it's not a planning issue, but it is a real issue. The developer or the owner of those units has to negotiate with the condo association boards to get approval for their units, that they're going to have the financial security and those things handled and done. And of course, none of those conversations have taken place because there isn't a developer yet. There's a proposed developer, but the engineer actually that made the presentation was working for the owner of the property, not a developer.
Well, as far as the water and sewer in the past, we have often added notes, requesting or asking the town to make sure that there is capability, lots of times developers, when they, let's say in the other towns, you'll get confirmation from the different departments that there is enough water and enough sewage capacity. And
Right.
And in this regard, there's certainly reason enough to add a note requesting that be done.
Right. There was also, in the original documents sent out, the email chain that went out in this, I guess there was this mistake made, but email chain from one of the proposed developers came out and the lending institution said, yes, you're approved for apartments. Well, apartments are not condominiums.
No.
And that was one of the concerns that people in the condo neighborhood think is a real issue.
New York condos, I mean, there's most all of the Hudson River is apartments. And we do not think it's right, and then the flavor of our community, to mix it.
Yeah.
Do you think that this owner is just gonna nip selling once they get the plan set up?
We think or fear
Okay.
that because there's been no discussion with an actual owner of the property, that this owner of the property has been part of the ownership of that for 15 years anyways. We fear that this is the intent to build these properties and then make them apartments. And there's no real no solid feeling that that would be prohibited or stopped, but
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not that I don't understand the question. And I think we had something like this a couple of months ago. And the thing I always say is like this, it's a site plan review. Our job from the planning board perspective is to review the site and to make a determination based on what the site plan review gives us. We can't, and Brian, and folks correct me if I'm wrong, but we can't necessarily speculate on what the person that is applying for whatever it is, site plan review, whatever. We can't speculate on what, if they're going to sell or not sell, and we really can't make our determination on that. We have to make our determination based on, essentially what's presented before us, and we take into consideration, a lot of the things that are brought before us that you're telling us. And in some cases, we'll add an advisory note. In some cases, we'll add an opinion. We'll make some adjustments to language. But we can't. I want to be careful about that and not use that. And
right. I was asked the question.
Yeah, no,
I responded to a question. That was not what I originally offered. So we think the things that we've offered are very solid reasons for this not to proceed. Or, excuse me, to be reviewed, that they be complied with staff notes.
So I'll ask this question, and I'm sorry. But so you're concerned that even with said information, that they're not going to comply with whatever rules if this proceeds forward?
Now, what we're saying is the site plan, which is done in 2006, does not comply with what the situation is today. That site plan was designed and developed in 2006. Properties were built across from that since then. The project has gotten larger. And since then, there's been probably 150 units of apartments landed to that line. And it was such a serious problem with the city of Cohoes that they made one of the developers come up with the amelioration of the sewage system, which the developer is not willing to pay for. Well, that was a problem there. It would seem that there would be a problem here.
No, and that's a good point, and we can address that with one of our notes.
Right, that's
And
what I'm getting at.
they'll have to have their discussions and have their engineering firm and whatever, look at it.
And the median as well, because there's access for the fire service there.
Well, the thing of it is, there's another note, because has all of this been shown to the fire company yet?
Well, the other question I have is the site plan that we
And
have.
emergency services also.
Right.
Excuse me.
No, you're good. I'm sorry. So I was gonna ask, is the site plan that we have from 2006, or have we gotten an updated site plan for this?
Karen can answer that. She was there, but at the board.
If you think about it, this was approved when there was no Empire State Trail existed. All of our buildings, the majority of our buildings have river views, are right on the river. These places will have no balcony or deck.
That's okay.
They're gonna go
We
to a
heard-
much different community at much lower price than ours.
Well, I mean, I think some of the things that we
also
can
new.
engage with, things like
Yeah,
the fact that the area, given that an engineering study for the sewer system, sewer capacity may be needed based on area development since the original approval in 2006. I think that's a reasonable thing to ask about. At least raise that as an issue, okay? It may be an issue, it may not be an issue, but has it even been considered?
Right.
And I would also say that the site plan that we're reviewing is is current as of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
that's the
Right,
November
it is.
7th.
And
it's
so,
got a 25-day.
yeah, so I would assume that within that site plan submitted to us, they've done some of those.
Right. May I ask what firm is the engineering?
ABD.
What?
ABD.
Thank you.
If you might be willing to add a note
Well,
regarding the public
I think
utilities,
there's a-
sewers. and
There's a
study.
valid,
We're talking about that right now. Let us finish.
there's a valid, I think that there's a valid argument to be made about the fact that the area has developed substantially since the original approval was given in 2006. And to ask for some evidence that this particular development, would meet capacity for sewage and water.
A technical review done by.
Yeah,
Right.
he's already got it figured out.
And I mean, and you can't assume just because they've got a nice looking site plan that they've done that.
When you were bringing that up and just saying there's been other properties added to it, and we had that issue.
On the line.
Right, so I agree with that 110%. Like, if we can add something in there that, to that point, says that, that's great.
About like sewer and water.
Yeah,
Yes, but, the municipalities are required technical review of all the surrounding infrastructure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And there might be more. So I
For
just wanted to
current,
reach out about.
Yeah.
Over at the end of the line.
I mean, that's something we can do.
Thank you.
And I'd like, what's his name, the guy in charge there? I like your emergency.
The guy in
Sure.
charge.
I appreciate your emergency services one. That's one we hadn't thought of.
yeah.
And that might be one you want to.
is that
Sewer emergency services.
is that for them getting in and out?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that usually when you have, and I'm sure co-host doesn't, they're going to go do this. They're going to show it to the fire company. They're going to show it to them. This happens all over. This happens in Colony, City of Albany, all municipalities. They all want to make sure they can get their trucks in
They can
and their
turn them
people,
right.
turn them
Yeah,
around,
they're
and
out
their
of bed.
people are safe,
Right.
right? And if they need like a turnaround spot constructed, they get one in there.
Yeah,
Because
that's, if you look, you'll see that depth of the meeting, that's very tight.
That happens routinely.
And
But with the
and
emergency.
former volunteer firefighter, if you both know, the ability to see the apparatus in and out.
Right. But I think as they go through this and they start, because again, you still have to go before emergency services before people can occupy the space.
Yep.
As you all know. And so, even if, as we make that note, this with the city will come up again if they do their checks and balances as well.
They'll know it's important if the notes are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, basically what we're doing is calling it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right. We appreciate that.
That's great.
great, thank you.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Concur.
Aye.
Aye. Next case. Project name conversion at 369 Madison Ave. Applicant's name. Zalozzi Kozlov. Project location 369 Madison Ave. Referring agency, City of Albany Planning Board. Considerations, conversion of an existing structure at the property from 2 to a 3-unit townhouse. Staff opinion is modify local approval to include review by the New York State Office of Parks and Recreation and Historic Preservation for the potential impacts on archaeological and historic resources should be required. Number 2, the city should ensure that all variance applications are reviewed and evaluated prior to final approval of the project. Any discussion?
It has a potential impact and it says 20 Madison Ave.
Oh, yeah. Why is
Yeah, what is that?
It's the state road. I'll check.
So it says on here potential impacts and then it says
Yeah.
20 Madison Ave. So I'm just,
It's the state or the county road.
What's that?
Oh, Connecticut County Road.
Yeah.
right.
Oh, no, I
It's a state road.
Yeah.
Sorry, state road.
state road, it's not a county
But is
road.
it impacting 20 Madison?
What is 20? Yeah, that's the,
That's fine. The one right there.
we're looking at.
Yeah, I got that, but it's like, which, how is it falling under the GML? So that's the.
That's why.
road. Yeah, it falls under us.
Over on Madison is almost close to.
That's why it's.
Yeah, it's for the county. We have to review it for that case.
The thing is, we've just seen a bunch of these going through. This is routine. It is.
You see your.
A motion to accept staff opinion. Oh,
Yes, motion.
Second.
concur. Okay,
Right.
All right. One thing, staff and the board for allowing us to speak. Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
You're so. Yeah. Great job.
Albany.
We're almost done. Almost done. Okay, unfinished business. Arm restoration project. 1841 Circle M Ranch. Prior to last month's meeting, the applicants had reached out to Topeka requesting a letter of interpretation of the local zoning code and appeal the local decision. The board decided to consult the Albany County attorney on further steps, and the decision was the county attorney cannot issue an opinion as it relates to the interpretation and application of a separate town, village, or city zoning ordinance. The county of Albany is not the entity that has the jurisdiction to hear the appeal of the matter. Moreover, neither the county attorney nor the county planning board should weigh in on the decision of a separate municipal board. Further, Albany County does not represent the individual LLC and cannot provide legal advice on the matter. Additionally, as the LLC is represented by counsel Young Summer LLP in parentheses, it is improper for us to interfere with the relationship between attorney and client and offer any opinion or strategy. Therefore, the Albany County Planning Board will not be interfering in the appeal of the local decision on this case. There we go.
The county attorney also sent this by email
Yeah.
to the requesters.
Yes,
To request
Directly,
Okay.
yes.
yes. And was forwarded to me. I got it. Yeah, very good. I was happy to see that.
So we're done.
I was elated to see that. Made my day.
Oh, all of us, yeah. As it regards to this, if we had written a letter, they would have flipped out. Okay, new business. The GML referral submission deadlines and meetings for 2026 is available, been handed out, posted on our webpage. Please note that the GLML submission deadline for September 2026 falls on a Tuesday, September 8th, since September 7th is a holiday. The next meeting of the Albany County Planning Board will be on Thursday, January 15th, 2026. And the deadline for municipalities to submit referral items for its review will be on Monday, January 5th, 2026. Now, can we get a motion to adjourn?
I motion.
Second.
In favor?
Yay.
We are adjourned.
I can stop recording. It came from